Welcome to Three Mums Podcast, hosted by Natalie, Anthea, and Charlene. This is a space where you'll get nothing but real conversation. This is your moment to pause, have a laugh, get involved, and come on our journey. Open, honest, and free always. Hashtag the Three Mums Way.
Okay, ladies, so the subject that we're tackling right now is all about self-harm. So talking about self-harm, yeah? Mm-hmm. And if I was to say to you both, when I say self-harm, to you first, Charles, what comes to mind?
Okay, do you know what? Instantly when you say that, obviously I think about somebody physically, cutting your wrist, cutting your wrist. People that self-harm is a very sensitive subject. But that is what I would think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I feel like
it's a trick question.
Yeah, this is not what you
need.
It's
not. I just want, I guess, like Char said, the obvious things like harming yourself, hurting yourself, cutting yourself. What about you? If I say self-harm, what comes to mind?
It would be the same thing. Instantly, the first thing, if you ask me, do you self-harm? My answer would be no, I don't. Mm-hmm. I don't self-harm because in my mind, there's an instant stigma to what you would class as self-harming. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess if we think of the multiple ways you could harm yourself, it's not limited to the instant stereotype
and
of what self-harm is. And it's not just physical.
And that's what we're going to touch upon today. So did a little bit of research and there's probably more behaviours that could be identified with self-harming, but I'm going to give you a list of a few that I think we could unpack and talk about today. So, overspending.
Well,
I'm like, if we are open, honest, and free, this is my fake voice, guys. Annie.
I haven't even finished the lineup.
I didn't
even finish the word.
We all host certain episodes. Anthony's hosting this one. Wait.
Sorry, Annie. Go on.
Right.
Go on.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Overspending. Isolating yourself.
Okay.
Casual sex. Putting everyone else's needs before your own. Eating too much, eating too little. No, that wasn't directed at anyone. No. Allowing toxic people into your life. Putting yourself in risky situations. Watching things to make yourself feel worse on purpose. Scratching.
Oh, wow.
Avoiding going to the doctor.
Yeah, happened,
Sabotaging important relationships. Excessive use of alcohol or drugs. Eating or drinking things you are allergic to.
Wow, like people that are lactose. So I've got people that are like, gluten free, but I just want it.
Yeah.
Straight up.
We'll touch on it. Punishing yourself by not dressing for the weather. It's a bit random.
Yeah, that is
very random. I wouldn't say it's not.
Well, I guess if you're going to wear bikini in winter, but
and over exercising.
Okay.
So there's a variety there. So who wants to start unpacking?
Well, you might as well, Annie.
Why? I'm the host.
Which one resonates with you? Which one stands out the most?
Teach us, sis.
Yeah, man, show us.
Okay, so I'll start from the least. Okay, so I'm going to start with, if I was going to pick out, let's say two. Yeah, I would go for the eating part, like eating or drinking things that I'm allergic to. So it's not, I wouldn't say I'm allergic, intolerant to.
Okay.
So my Achilles heel is bagels, right? And butter.
Yes.
Right. No, seriously. It's
Got an addiction.
So it's I would say it's an addiction. It is an addiction.
Loves her bagels.
I love my bagels. And the butter is just
saturated.
I do love butter. Don't come and get margarine. Like, I need butter.
So for me, it's one of those things where it's the craving for it. It actually it's a hormonal thing. It's not just because I want to eat the bagels. It's as if there's something that's triggered every single month. You know, and I know I've touched upon it. Yeah, I've touched upon it before.
Yeah.
The polycystic ovaries, the mood swings, the hormone imbalance. For me, bagels is just one dynamic. There's a lot of other foods, but you know, there's this craving, this wanting to have certain foods that I know are not good for me.
Yeah.
And it's a constant battle, month in, month out. And I feel like because of how messed up my cycle is on a monthly basis, like I never had that full 28 days, as you well know, like Nat. It's that preparation as leading up to my cycle. There is just this period of time when I seem to have no control over what I put in my body. And the after effects, like the pain that I'm in, you know, the cramps, just the discomfort, all because I've eaten, like, either it's bagel, if it's chips, just because I know that I have an intolerance, for instance, to soya.
Okay.
And there's a lot of foods that actually contain soya. Yeah. So it's, for me, it's trying to get to a point whereby I can manage it, you know, but it's pretty much down to that whole hormonal imbalance, why I crave certain foods so much. And what I've had to do is literally get to a place now whereby I am now taking a supplement that you actually recommended, something by the name of maca. And it seems to have helped eased it somewhat. I would say that my mood swings are not so erratic. I can manage that part of my, you know, leading up to my cycle a lot better. But I would say that the food part is getting better, but it's not where it needs to be. And for me, it's just like saying, you're actually self-sabotaging, you're self-harming. Every time I'm taking, you know, a bite of this food that is not doing me,
it's going to actually leave you in
But
pain.
so deep, it's actually mad. Like, I don't really think of food like that, but actually, like, you fully know you shouldn't have it.
Yeah. So like, even if we was to use that exact same topic, I remember as a child, or as we've talked before, I used to never know when my period would come. So when it would come, it would be debilitating. I'd be in school, I'm locked in that nurse's office, I'd get sent home. All I would want. Back then, I remember I used to love Galaxy.
I used to
have like, by the biggest bar of Galaxy, I used to buy Maryland's double chocolate. Not on my periods. Double chocolate cookies, and I would drink hot chocolate. Chocolate. That's all I would want. I never cared for chocolate outside of that. So, but if I had a really bad period, and I never forget, it was one of Daddy's friends that heard how bad I was one time, and she's like, "What do you eat when you're?" And I said, she goes, "Do you know that all that sugar is just feeding the pain?" I was like, "Well, what do you mean? That's what I crave. I need it. Like, I literally need it. I wouldn't eat any food. Just all I'd want is that sugar." And she's like, "You're literally making, the sugar is making your pain 1,000 times worse." And I had to change that, because my period, I'd just have chocolate. I wouldn't eat anything but Galaxy, hot chocolate, and Maryland cookies for however long that period went on for. That's all I could crave. Or just sleep and roll around in pain. So obviously when I felt like something, it would just be the sugar. Do you get? And so it shows that it's hard, because like I'm saying, in this sense, we're self-harming, but yet our body is almost dictating
there's a need
that we want, that it needs this, and it's for you to have the mental willpower or whatever it be to say, well, no. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And obviously I have managed to tackle that. I still have months where it's harder, but on a whole, I do my best not to feed because I just know the outcome of it.
I mean, just talking about food, I can't lie, when you guys do talk about your cycles and your period stuff,
Yeah, you
I
can't relate.
cannot
We don't like you.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
ladies.
Yeah.
I've never experienced this. The truth is, I have a few little twinges on the day that I come on my cycle, but after that, it's kind of like smooth sailing. But I think since having Talia, it's probably the first time I've really
hormonal imbalance.
struggled.
Yeah.
Really struggled. I don't know if it's really struggled, but I've struggled to be as disciplined as I used to be with food. Like, I just tell myself, no, you're not having it, Charlene, and we move on. Like, when I've been so tired, you know that whole thing of comfort eating because you're like, it's like as if I want a reward. Yeah. Like, I love looking after Tay, but there are certain nights when I'm like, I deserve ice cream, or I deserve
Can I just
my
interject
husband's.
and say, like, I've had a hard week and I sent Anthony to buy me my Blue Jays crumble. In my mind, I've decided.
Seriously?
About the crumble.
No, he's got it.
I saw it.
My point is, I've had a hard week and I was like, I need a reward for this week. But even though I know that I can't have too much ice cream, I'm going to go down my ice cream road, but I'm like, that's my rule. That it's a thing.
But guys, can we actually break this down?
It's real.
When food is there to be nutrition for our bodies.
Yes.
It is there
and
to
pleasure.
But it can also be a demon.
We've made food this thing where it's like obviously you go out for meals, there's nothing wrong with
who
that.
would ever believe food could be self-harm? But it really
It can.
Because if you're doing it in excess, if I'm rewarding myself with certain
every day, I need a reward.
No, we're laughing,
It's
guys.
true, but it's actually
I'm sure
true.
there's people listening.
And
to
I'm actually laughing. I've been there. Where every day I'm eating my me and Harkendals are one every
I just want to say, my issue with Harkendals is not as bad as Nat. No, this year we became accountable to each other because she influenced me from however many years ago. And guys, I'll be honest, her children, they are Harkendals babies. That you love. Listen, these kids.
Yeah, but one thing is, why their chest so high? Why can't they just have like
something?
do you know that? I mean,
They go to people's house and someone asks if you've got ice cream and they're like, is it Harkendals? It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it
and
is.
it's lovely. I love Harkendals, but guys.
there's other brands available.
Alright, so
But on a serious note, I think what I like you said you've managed to get to a point where you can manage it. I'm still on that journey.
I'm still on
I know
it.
I've had to adjust because it affects I become lethargic. I become
tired,
moody.
And then you don't feel good about yourself.
Don't feel good.
For me, it's
function
not feeling
effectively.
good. I'm so tired of falling trapped to what my hormones tell me, and then I just feel rotten afterwards. Do you know what I mean?
But it's the battle of wills for me.
it is.
It's like, I've actually got to a point. So the other day, could feel my body preparing for my next cycle, and my partner had come home with hardo bread. So it's not just any hardo bread. For those that are from Southeast, cornfields.
If you don't know about cornfields, you need to get to know it.
Cornfields in Thornton Heath. He came home. No, in fact, no, he called me. And I was like, where are you? And he was like, I've just left cornfields. Why have you just left cornfields? Because it's like, I've just bought some more hardo bread. So we'd had hardo bread the previous week because it was like for, girls' party and whatnot. So that was, for me,
wet the taste buds.
Yeah, it was that. But that was for me. That was fine in that setting. It was a party. Nice bread. Didn't have too much because everybody was having some. But then you've gone the following week and you've gone and bought it.
a pattern.
Yeah. So like for me now, I actually got vexed, and I was like,
because you know it's going to make it harder for you to be. It's easier to have the willpower when it's not there in front of you.
I'm not gonna lie, that's my thing. I
never used to be like that. I used to be like I'm not a biscuit person. I'm not a sweet person. I'm not an ice cream person. But bread, bagels, like, do you know what I mean? And he has got this big, and when it's fresh till they don't even they don't close the wrap up because it's that fresh. Oh my gosh! And did I succumb to the temptation?
Yes.
Can I just say, Nats knows how addicted I used to be to Haribo's and like those types of gummy sweets, and it's just like I don't actually remember that. I think it was a couple 2019.
Years ago.
I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so
we read something though. We read so it was to do with the green smoothie cleanse, and she broke down like what the actual like. It's just like what that's. It's literally you're eating empty calories, like a whole bag of just.
Unfortunately, bread is just it's not bad in moderation, but you're getting the word in the book was you get no nutritional value from sweets, even some dried fruits, bread, like. And I thought, so I'm not actually giving my body any nutrients from this. I need to take hold of the situation, so I just stopped buying it. Guys, I will not lie to you, I will still have it, but I have actually managed it. Like, it's in moderation. It's just not in the house. I just don't buy them. Somebody else buys them, then I will eat some. If I pop to Nat's house and she has some sweeties, I will eat it. But I genuinely, on a regular, don't buy it how I used to. So that, you know, and when you learn that health, you learn, it's like, well, actually, why am I doing this to myself?
What was the topics again?
There was, overspending, isolating yourself, casual sex, putting everyone else's needs before your own.
Stop there. So...
I can't even lie, I just read
okay, well then that's a deep one. I think I've had a perpetual cycle in my life. Well, don't listen.
I'm just like, you guys try to come at me, I'm coming at you.
Like, and I'm still going through that journey, and that's the honest truth. I would never have believed that that's a form of self-harm, but I can honestly say, beginning 2020, just worn, tired, exhausted. And it's for multiple reasons. And part of that is just a continual trait of always being last on the list. Like, and I have had to, 2020 was an extremely hard year for everybody for multiple reasons. But I think for me, if I take all of that stuff away, it was the most reflective year of my life. I've never cried so much in my life. I'm not a crier. Crying doesn't come easily. So when it does, I wish I could cry more easily, if that makes any sense. I think it would make it easier to
there's a release,
but it just doesn't flow as easily for me as I would like. But the tears flowed and actually are continuing to for this past year. And I realised, like, I had to ask myself so many questions, like, why do you find it so hard? And I realised that even putting the whole thing of putting others before myself, the root of that was not knowing how to say no. Like, just not, do you know what I mean? Like, and I think it almost goes back to what we've talked about before, that whole strong woman complex. Like, I am strong, but I'm so strong to the point that
it's to your detriment.
I'm harming myself. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, even like I will have 10 things on my plate, and then it's like, well, one of them is on the route to something else. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess I can just add that one on then. Do you get what I mean? And then I do it till I'm just depleted. There's nothing left, you know? And it's taken me years. And Charlene can vouch for it's taken me years to set boundaries. And it's taken boundaries. I think that's the root of it. And I'm still learning. And I'm still learning it in different pockets. I'll still find myself in a scenario and I'm like, but Natalie, really? Like, I could, prime example, yesterday I ended up having like a cancellation at work, and it meant that there was like a 4-hour gap, and I could have tried to fill it, but it was like a last minute cancellation. But it then meant to stay there, I would have had a client that I'd cancelled on, which was a regular, and I just felt so bad to cancel on her. So bad to cancel on her. So what I did was I messaged her, is there any chance she can come earlier? Blah, 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 blah. Only for her to walk into the salon and I tell her the situation. She's like, babe, you could have just cancelled on me. Like, I'd have just rescheduled. It was nothing. So I could have gone home at 5 o'clock as opposed to 9 o'clock after such a long... The point I'm trying to make is, it's not even with family and friends. I do it with strangers, and that's where this past year has been so reflective for me. So I'm like, I do this with strangers, people that owe me. I owe you nothing. What is going on? Like, and I realized that the biggest root is that whole thing of don't like letting people down. I think I'm so integral. Like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I will literally.
It's a core value.
It's a core value of mine.
And even your credibility. Yeah, that can play a massive part.
There's so many things, but it's like to the point where I literally could have one arm swinging, like, I'm like, my eyes on that clip, I'd be like, yeah, I can do it. No, guys,
do you think that? Where does? I know you mentioned about, you know, like
being strong.
Yeah, and now learning to step. But when you where did that come from? Because it's almost it's a form of like people pleasing.
That's what I said. But I don't. All right, so I can tell you, even if I use Shaz as an example, right? Okay, I'm going to confess something. So I'm going no. Right. When I was younger, so mum, dad, yeah, you might not know this, that, but when I was younger, I used to get like a certain amount of pocket money every week, right? And I used to have to pick up Charlene from school. And Charlene would always want like sweets and stuff. Now, bearing in mind, but there's only 2 years and 8 months between us. Like, that's not it's not like I was your 8 years older than you were. I'm not even 3 years older than her, but I was her big sister. That's the only way I can describe it. And Charlene was the little, like, I mean, in every sense of the word, the little sister. Like, Charlene, we didn't even know she'd grow to this size. Like, Charlene was so little, like, you were tiny. Charlene was so short, and Charlene looked years younger than what she was for such a long time. I'd say you still do, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Just to cut in there, guys, on a level, like, it really took, this will be another conversation, but it took me a minute to really blossom, even in my face, and like... You were just cute for a very long time. Like, you just had that young, cute, baby face. I never had that sexy vibe. Even now, I'm like... And now I'm sexy, but it's not, it just took, even for me to embrace my feeling sexy, it just took me a minute. Like.
But so I remember like picking up from school, Charlie always would want sweets. Now, bearing in mind, I think I used to get like £10 a week. Now, when you work that out at 5 days at school, that's £2 a day. That barely can buy me my lunch, yeah? So I remember like I would have maybe, and we used to get like these penny sweets. So it wasn't a lot, I could easily get her. She used to love like the cola, I think cola it was, bottles. Cola bottles or the lips or whatever else. So even 20p, she's got 20 of them. Whatever, the point is, remember there was this shop that used to be across the road from my house, and they were such a lovely family, and they trust, like, I remember my dad could just, let's say I was going to school and he hadn't drawn out money like to pay for my bus pass or whatever, he could just say, just go over there, ask them to give you a bus pass and I'll pop in on my way to work and I'll pay for it. Like, that's the relationship we had with them. So even when, like, even now school kids have the limit to go into school. Back then, even if the limit was going on, if me and Charlene came to the shop, they'd just let us come right into the shop. Even if there was how many kids in there, we'd be allowed to go in amongst that because we were trusted. And I remember like to please Charlene, I would buy her stuff, but then I'd still want some things for myself. So a good couple times I would put my stuff up my sleeve, like, so basically I was silly.
I remember the day I was like, Ollie, what are you doing? I was like, shut up, do you want it? I honestly tell you, I think I did it about 3 times, like,
you said it was innocent.
No,
my reason was like, and the truth was, you want to know what made me stop? Do you want to know what made me stop? This one particular day, I remember I put something up my sleeve, and there was a lady. There used to be like a white lady that worked in there. She was lovely, and I didn't realize there was a kid behind me. All I heard was say, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Huh?" And then I turned and realized that there was a kid behind me stealing. And I'm telling you, I nearly wet myself. I nearly, like, because in that moment, the whole flash of this scene, Daddy and Mummy finding out, like, Dennis finding out. And bearing in mind, it was like a chocolate bar I put up. It was like 30 pure, but the point was, like, and I was like, no, I can't do this. But the root of me sharing and exposing this story was that I really wanted to please my sister. That's secondary school. So when I had to pick you up, that was year 8. That's year 13, 14.
And that I can vouch, like, even going through the years, like, I actually remember, because Nats was like this, I had a bad attitude at one point because
there you go.
Natalie was.
I always did.
But then the root of that was
still it adds on to something else.
I remember there was. You guys would have heard in a previous podcast when I've spoken about some of my self-esteem issues, and I remember there was a period in my life where the only thing I liked was my hair. So if Nats hadn't permed my hair fresh, this was when it was permed and cut. If my hair wasn't fresh, I used to feel so unattractive. And I would almost demand my hair.
I'd just come to Natalie, day at work.
I'd be like, I need you to do my hair tonight.
I'd step in at 11 o'clock.
You can. I'm not doing your hair. And for the most part, Nat would do it. But then I remember that came to a point where she was like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, what do you mean? I need it done.
It wasn't just you though, you and Mummy did it.
But
to
Nat
me.
was a disgusting attitude.
Both of them put these demands on me. Like I could have
It's
done a
just
whole
wrong.
day in my main job, then gone and done clients that night, and I'd come home and see the relaxers laid out, and I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we need our hair done. I'm like, but I've just done 5 women and I went to work this morning. You know, something like that. It took me a while to break down to them whether you go, because it was that thing of they don't pay. So they're thinking that I'm saying no because you're not paying. No, you're still 2 heads that take 2 hours each or whatever else.
It's
it's my time. It's my time. So it took me a minute to break down, like, you've got to agree with me in advance.
It needs to be booked in the diary.
So what I will do is on a day when I know I've got to do you 2, I'd maybe only do 4 people, travel to 4 people's homes because I've got to get back in time. Not roll in at 11 and then you 2. And it was just like, I was like 18, 19 these times, having this, like 19, 20.
I have to say that it shifted because
I set the boundary. Do you get what I mean? And I did, but my point is there's been so many stages, but I don't know what the route. I honestly don't fully know what the route is.
You are multi-talented.
I am just,
there's a lot of things that you can do.
And I can see where I've been hurt a million times over, whether it be by friends or family, because of that. And I can be honest, you know, as we've said before, we are believers, we are church girls in that sense. But, you know, and I remember praying, like, and it was about 2 years ago. And I remember like saying, like, why do these things happen to me? And God was so clear. He's like, well, I didn't put you there. I didn't tell you to do that. And it's something now that I'm learning to navigate. Like, just because you're capable of giving doesn't mean that you have to in that moment. Like, you could be giving to someone that God knows is not receiving the heart of that gift correctly, or isn't even going to treat it with the respect and honor that it should. So I'm learning in a situation that everything I can show my support without giving of myself. And I think that's just something that it's just it's a learned behavior I formed, and it's just gonna have to take a minute. I naturally, if I have the means to do it, I will do it. It doesn't mean you have to, and it doesn't mean that you should. And it's just it's something I'm still navigating.
But then there's the other end of the spectrum where sometimes people don't have the means to do it, and they're still doing it. And when I say that,
well, I don't. There's times when I haven't. In that sense.
But then when in that regard, I would say if you don't have the means to do something, but yet you would say you can, is that linked to esteem, a low self-esteem issue? Because you're potentially again trying to please. You don't have the means. You can't say no. But you want to be accepted. You want to be. I don't know. You want to be perceived.
Sometimes people want validation. You want the validation. You want. You don't want to miss out on that. It's so bizarre.
I don't know. I don't have the answer because I can only go by. For me, if I'm honest with you, the biggest area I feel more zapped from is my physical time. I'm not talking about. I feel like I just carry gifts that have always required people take it. That's what. So I can't relate it to. I actually have a gift that there's always been someone that needs me. Does that make sense? And I'm going to tell you, actually, the defining moment in my life. It's actually, that's what I'm just realizing when it started to shift. It was my 35th birthday. And I remember for my 35th birthday, it was me, it was you, it was Shaz, little sis Lee, Tamara, and Jeanette. And I worked up until the Wednesday. And then we was all going out for my birthday. But who needed their hair done? You needed your hair done. Jeanette needed her hair done. Charlene needed her hair done. I silk pressed her hair. I think I relaxed your hair. Jeanette got her hair cut. Leona was fine. The point was, why was I mashed up?
Yeah, I remember you saying it. I remember you saying
it. And I was like, okay, this is hard. Like this, and it's like, I get it. We're going out, and you lot actually needed your hair.
And some of them are your clients.
They're my clients, but it wasn't a client thing. I actually did them outside because I was already booked up. The point I'm trying to make, I didn't.
All wanted to, you know,
you all wanted to look good
her
to go
out for her.
Imagine that.
But it was taken
my point
from
is, do I say no?
No.
Yes.
Do you see my point?
Don't mash up in the face.
I'm not
do you see my point? That's not me trying to please you. That wasn't me trying to please you.
You know I've come full circle.
Yeah, that wasn't me trying to please anybody. It's just, I just feel like my whole life I've always had gifts that other people
Or
need.
needs.
Like,
Yeah,
prime example, the other day, mummy and daddy, it was their 40th anniversary, we're in lockdown. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually the biggest joke of the family. Like, after all these years, my dad had to sit in my chair. My dad don't let no one touch his head. And I cut my dad's head for the first time. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I was in so much pain that night when they came. I felt so unwell, but it's their anniversary and their little Zoom service party the next day. And I had to find the strength in me to cut mummy's hair, to do mummy's hair and do daddy's hair. Do you get what I mean? And it's like...
There would have been a time when I'd be like, please, Nats, can you...
Yeah.
But I have literally come full circle.
She has.
I
And I do, so it's like, I do say no now. I do say no and I do set boundaries, but yes, I find
You know what's resonating though,
not...
Nat, is that strong woman. That's
it. I mean, even in it's still, I think that's the root of it.
Strong woman.
That's it. And I'm strong till I'm debilitated.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and I'm tired of it. So it's something I'm going through. It's something, but to know that actually that is self-harm, and I can see it. I actually
that
know
putting those words next to
linking
it, another perspective.
It is actually self-harm, and it's something I'm on a journey on, and it's not an overnight thing, as I said. 35 and 38, so 3 years on, and there's still new steps and things I'm having to take. Boy, what about you, Charles? It's just
What about you? You need me to go through the list?
No?
What jumps out?
I don't think my one's on your list, but I think I've realised since having Tay that I've always kind of prided myself that I'm a go-getter, and on the fact that I'm a hard worker. Like, I will put in the 10,000 hours. I just do it. I have a can-do attitude, and I'll get stuff done. You want to get done? I'll figure it out. But I'm actually a workaholic.
And you don't have to rest.
And I do not know how to rest. Like, I've got a ton of goals and a ton of dreams, and my head's just full of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But since having a child, my time is very different, and I don't know that my reality has fully caught up with the dreams and all the things that I'm trying to do. Like, even since February, like, I've been releasing singles back to back, I've been doing this, and I'm starting the podcast, and it's all great stuff. But when I get a break, and I don't want this to sound wrong, it's not like I want a break for my daughter, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. When I get a minute for myself, like, there's a day a week that is like mine to work or just do whatever I want to do. All I do is work. Even in the evenings, like, when I could just watch a film, no, let me just get
Don't know how to relax.
So, alright, so the question I've got is, do you do that because you feel like if you're not doing it, you aren't putting, like, do you know what I'm trying to say? How's I articulate what I'm trying to say?
If
I can relate to what you're saying. Like,
is it like a sense of value? If you're not doing something or deemed to be doing something,
you're on a road to achieve something. So you're trying to achieve something, but you fully don't have the answer as to how you're going to get there. But it's like, I'm not trying to look like I'm not working to get there and do what I'm doing.
No,
like,
I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think that the thing where I really want to work hard is I want to do that, but I do think I've been thinking recently that because there are a bunch of things, even as a family, that we want, and we don't have all of the solutions. It's almost like, well, I can't stop.
Yeah.
I just have to try this, then try that, then try this.
True.
And I have realised that I am just literally exhausted.
Yeah.
And so you actually carrying this topic of self-harming, like, I feel it.
Because you do know that there's a saying, this time you've been talking, I'm trying to, and it talks about you're so busy, but you actually don't have as much use as you think you're. Like, you can be so.
I think I read that.
I don't know what the exact saying. I can't remember, and I'd hate when I post something and I don't. But you can be so, and I know that there was times, and I'll be honest with you, the root of it was that I was so used to bringing something to the table. So for me, like, it would have been when, like, let's say I had Josiah and it was the early days and I was to stay at home with him, and obviously now we used to split all the bills. It's now all on Anthony. So it's like, even down to why I was so content with doing everything for him, because it's like, well, that's my, do you know what I mean? Like, even though it's brucking me up and I'm mashed up, do you know what I mean? I remember just down to the smallest thing, like I said to you guys, how I wouldn't even make get up in the night. I'd be like, I'll do it, even though I've been awake all day. I've been awake all day. Like, I've had, so you've gone to work, you're coming home, you're getting a full night's sleep. I've been awake all day and all night. Like, my eyes are like, do you know what I mean? But it's like, well, I'll get up with him, because it gave me that validation that I'm putting in some, I struggled, for me personally as a woman, I struggled with not giving my financial contribution. So it was like, well, this is my area that I'm gonna, and I did it by hook or by crook, but I mashed myself up for it. Do you get what I mean? As well as you know, I then did go back to work. So by the way, I've now done all of that. That didn't stop then when I went back to work. So I'm now doing all of that and all of this, just exhausted. But the root of it was, like I just needed to feel like I was pulling my weight, and I don't want anybody to. I think that as well, some stigmas. I have mentioned that there were certain people in that time that I just felt like they looked at me like I'm just at home, like I'm doing nothing. Do you get what I mean? Like, so I needed to ensure that I'm busy. I'm not just doing that. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's like, no,
I can 100% identify with what you just said.
I'm just saying, but in your opinion, I remember we even talked last year, and I remember like you wanted to release songs last year, and I remember I said to you, the exact words I said was, would you just be okay with a year of your life when if all your goal was to bring this baby to, like, do you know what I mean, to get this baby out safe and healthy with all that's on her? Is that not enough? Is that not enough? Because Charlene's always been like this. Do you get what I mean? She works so much. Charlene's always been go. Her work ethic is just second to none. It's a beautiful thing, but it's like, would that be enough for you if all that you achieved this year was Talia?
I think when you said that, it really did.
It hit you.
And I wasn't actually sure fully.
Yeah, she couldn't. Yeah.
And I think that's where it's really deep when you start to unpack and you think, it's not that I'm not healthy, but you actually realise there's some work.
There's always stuff. There's always stuff. Like for me, you telling me you get 1 day a week. So you're 24/7, really you're 24/6, because you now get 1 day and you still use the day to work. When you think every week, and I'm not saying that's not okay, but every week. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's something that, and all you're doing is wear yourself out. And you do know that when you are overworked, you're still not as clear as you think you are. Right. You don't have the clarity. You need to rest to recharge.
At this point, I am. She's nearly 1, and I have not.
So
it's not entirely my fault. It's been lockdown.
Yes, there's so many things.
I told Chris, like, babe.
But rest is not so much physically going to a spa, or it's mental. I'm just saying.
Going to a park and
it's mental.
Or reading nothing.
It's mental.
I can't lie, guys. When I get a break, even if I'm driving in the car, I'll think, let me do some research for the podcast. Let me listen to another podcast so I can just learn, so I can get stuff in me. Let me listen to music so I can learn something about songwriting.
Yeah, this is a this is a lot, Sha.
It's a lot.
That's a lot, and you will.
But you know what it is when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
How does it sound? How does it actually sound to you
I'm
right now?
I'm actually hearing myself when I'm like, this is trippingness.
Yeah.
I'm actually.
I wouldn't. I know you're just saying it in jest. That it's
no, it is.
No, but it's.
I would agree.
Yeah, you are burning yourself out.
You're literally burning the candle out both ends.
And then the thing is, you will not be able. The thing that you're striving to do, you will not be able to do because you'll have nothing left to give.
And
deep down,
she's the one I want to get the most.
And you know what I'm going to give to you as a piece of advice is something that I kind of started saying to myself. It's very much once I had the kids, and I was like, time is just a commodity you can't get back. I don't have time wasting my energy on things that aren't going to bring fruit. So I think you need to rest to have the mental clarity to know what you should actually be focusing your efforts on. Mm-hmm. Because what is the point in doing 10 things when only 2 are going to yield fruit? Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, what is
I'm actually not doing 10 things.
I'm just giving you an example.
I'm doing a bunch of things.
No, but you could be too. No, but you just said you're driving the car, and in your mind you still are. Let's listen to a podcast. Let's listen to. Is all of that research necessary just to have for us to have a productive?
I think she's giving herself options now.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
But I give yourself. I get it.
You don't want to just give yourself like, well, this is the one direction I'm going to go in. You want to see what she's
because I get it, but she still knows she's working, and that's the point I'm trying to make. She isn't.
Do you identify it as work? when you're doing it?
At the time, I don't, but actually,
She's still working. I know she's still working.
Me, there are certain
I know you know.
Like,
Charlene knows.
There's like podcasts I listen to for leisure, and then there's I've got
that's my
10.
point. I was trying
There
to
are some random ones that just teach you about new things. There's some about science,
and there's nothing wrong about
and I just want to learn
That's
new things.
fine.
Like, but
That's
at the same time, I'm not the same shot, and I think I need that to catch. I'm not
the same.
the free, do what I want, all that. It's changed.
Charles, it takes a while to adjust. I'm not gonna lie. It takes a while to adjust because there is that element of your character that is very, very, very driven, you know, to achieve. And it's literally, I'm trying to think of an analogy that Talia literally is taking a little piece of you that so you can't complete that whole what you used to do before. Do you know what I mean?
And the thing is that I'm actually okay with it, but I need that to really register with my actions because I'm not the mom that's not embracing. I love being.
I actually don't have an issue with any of what you're saying. Your problem is you don't know how to rest.
Yeah.
Being driven is not the problem. Being driven,
it's
having
balance.
goals,
It's balance.
you don't know how to rest, and that's something that you're gonna have to teach yourself. Because she's only going to continue to get older, there's continue to be more demands, and your goals and your dreams aren't going to disappear. Do you get what I mean? You have to find a way. You have to find a way to navigate your goals and your dreams whilst resting. And it's amazing. You say this, but you're good at telling me to do it. You're good at telling me to. It's the same. Do you get what I'm trying to say to you? You're good at telling me that. No, you're good at telling me you have to apply it for yourself, but
sometimes easier said than done because there's a little bit, I can take a little bit from what you said and a little bit of what you've said, Charles. And it's like, I think for me, it is that territorial thing that I do.
Yeah, we know.
You know what I mean? But it is actually self-harming. I hold up my hands. I have been deemed an enabler. Yeah, I don't wear the badge with pride. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to stick with enabler. Yeah, and it's been to my detriment. It has actually been to my detriment because how many years into my relationship, I'm like, but you can't do this.
Yeah.
And you can't, and you're still asking me about it. And I'm like, it's your own fault. I have literally taken the whole stance of the home is my domain, it's my territory, and I'm now older, and I'm
catching up. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's called.
It's overtaken. No, it's over there. Up with my eyes.
I'm just like, this is a lot. Yeah. This is a lot.
And it lets you know that if you actually want to thrive in this new season of your life, something. So there was a quote that we saw this week, and I think that's what would apply to so much of this. If you want different, you have to do different. And it's hit me so hard because it's like, yeah, I can't keep approaching the same mountain and expecting people to even act different towards me or expecting different results if I'm not behaving differently. Like I'm getting clients I had clients tell me yesterday, why are you back at work? Because I had the operation. I'm like, guys, I'm okay. And they're not believing me because they know that they've been there multiple times before. I'm all up in pain, but got work to do in it. Just work right through the pain. And I'm saying like, please trust me, like I'm not joking. I will do what I'm physically, like if I'm capable of it, but if anything more, I'm not doing, like I will say no, and she's looking at me sideways because she doesn't believe me. And it's like, I can only start to show with my actions because prior to this, I just worked through the pain. I just pushed on through the pain. I'm just looking at the clock and counting down the hours till I can just pause for a minute. These times I should have cancelled, just you know, it's all learned behaviour, but anything that's learned can be unlearned.
True.
It can be unlearned. It can be unlearned. And I need to, and for me, it still goes back to even down to the kids. I don't want my children, you don't need to be so strong that you're, do you know what I mean, that you're the go-to for everything. You don't need to, so it's like, so random, but going back years ago, I remember like just being so drained and worn, and Joelle just, I think it was just a season where it just felt more challenging than normal. Do you get what I'm trying to say to you? I was just finding it hard, and I remember like, she'd done something and it wasn't even that naughty, I just remember like sitting on the floor of the bathroom and I just burst into tears. And I remember calling Charlie and I was like, I just feel so rubbish. Like I've just sat here crying in front of her. And Charlene was like, that's a good thing. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I just look weak. I just look like I fell apart. She's like, no, you shows her that mummy's human. Mummy's human. Mummy has feelings. Mummy's had a hard day. You're misbehaving and you're not working with mummy. Like, it's normal. Like, Natalie, it is normal. Yeah. And it's so funny because I now realise that that's learned strength. I've learned that from my parents. My parents, number one, didn't show us when things were super hard. They didn't. They hid. They truthfully did try their best to hide even financial difficulties from us, or they showed. So they.
I mean, I do remember mum and daddy.
You know, I'm talking about within reason. We still grew up in an era, Shine, where children should be seen and not heard. Right, that's grown people's business. So I'm not saying that they completely don't. Yes, we were aware, but they very much did not involve us. And I do believe that yes, you should preserve a child's innocence, but I do believe that it's a fine boundary between preserving it, but also letting them know real things happen in life. And you know, like I will literally say to the kids, mummy is not feeling well right now, or I'm feeling a bit stressed. This is what's happening. I need you to bear with me. I need you to let them know I'm human. I'm your mum. And as a result, did we not have mummy and daddy on a pedestal? To an extent, you put your parents on pedestals because they didn't let us know that they're human and that they can have a weak moment. And they didn't share because they didn't share personal stuff. So then when they just behaved, in our sense, outlandish, you know what I'm saying, and where you just switched on me in my mind for no reason. These times you're stressed because you've lost your job, or you know what I'm saying to you, like we don't understand. So I'm now learning very much in this season to just be as transparent, and that's even in my motherhood journey. Do you know what I mean? With the kids, like when I'm finding it hard, or you know, obviously with losing family last year, there was just a whole season, all I did was cry. And Joe would just come and she just like, you okay, mummy? And just like this because you missed them, right? And I'll be like explaining it to her. And she didn't really get it.
It went on for a while.
Do you know what I mean? And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's just all she's going to remember is at 5 years old. All mummy did was cry. But the reality is, I can't change that. Do you get what I mean? All I could do was manage it the best as I can, but I can't even imagine or fathom trying to hide that from her. Do you understand what I mean? Because death is a natural part of life. And as a result of all my tears, it brought a million questions. It then brought, we're talking months, as you know, of sleepless nights, anxiety for my children, because now I've got the question, so mummy, could we die then? Could you die? And what do? Lie to them? Yeah. Death is a natural part of life. It opens up a whole can of worms. But the truth was, once again, even down to that, a lot of parents lie to their children about death. Mummy's never going to leave you. Daddy's never going to leave you. You can't do that. It's not you have to be real and honest, and that requires uncomfortability and saying things that, I wasn't prepared to have to say that to a 5-year-old, and at the time a 9-year-old. But it's the truth.
Can I just add to that? Yeah. I just think, because you actually touched on death. You remember that I told you guys I watched that workshop with Candice Brathwaite, and it really hit me, guys. She was just talking about how her kids will not be the whole centre of her life. And she's told her kids, like the question she was asked was, what bit of advice would you give your daughters? I think her daughter's like 9 or 10. She was like, you need to know that mummy's not going to always be here. Wow. And when she told me that, she said that, well, not told me in the workshop, the interview, she said that it really hit me. She was like, her dad died on the day that her daughter was born, and that knocked her for 6. And she was like, my life cannot stop because if one of my children die, and my children's life cannot stop if I die. She's like, life needs to keep ticking on. And my gosh, I've already said to this, anything happens to Talia, hit me up off the floor.
Like we've all said it.
When I heard that, I was like, this is actually
it's real and it's true.
I call myself a Christian. I do look forward to heaven. I do, but I'm not trying to leave.
No one's trying to die. Like none of us trying to be here. And I've been silent. You're silent.
No, because when I finished, she said, if I lose my child, does my life? No, she was like, I'm gonna be broken. I'm gonna be heartbroken. It's gonna be hard.
And
but life
actually understand the root.
Guys, if what she drops on life, she's like, life keeps ticking on. And she was like, any of you out there, you cannot make your kids your world, and you cannot do. You need to give your kids all the tools. You need to give your kids all the tools that they need, so that they can navigate life, and they'll remember, Mommy said this, Daddy said this, but Mommy said, if I die, my life, she's like, baby, you're going to live your life and enjoy your life if Mommy's not here, and if my daughter's not here, I'm going to be broken, and it's going to be hard, but once I get past some of that grief, my life keeps ticking on, and oh gosh.
Well, I
don't think I need to talk about this right now.
I can't say what she's saying. I'd be alive if I could fully say that, but I can definitely.
That is some strength.
That is, but I can definitely resonate.
This is
true though, but I can resonate.
What I'm saying, no, it's not something I'm willing to.
I hear you.
That's my point. I can't verbally fully say that, but what I can say is definitely I am doing my utmost to ensure that, God forbid, if anything happens to me, my children have nuggets that will carry them through. Does that make sense? And because I've had those discussions with them, that was all of last year. You guys know, I can't even express. I don't even know how we got through that season. I just remember every night just started dreaming I'm gonna die every night, and then it kind of eased off with him, and then out of nowhere, Joelle, it's like she was delayed, and then she got to almost 6.5, and something about her understanding shifted, and we're talking night after night. I'm having bad dreams, I'm having bad thoughts that we're going to die.
It does happen, because I remember it was around 9 when I had this concept of death. And my son, I think after the back of what, your family or the family went through last year, it opened his eyes to it. And I just, Nat's Charles, I don't know how you guys got through it. I don't know, the words that you found to even.
I know. It's going to get emotional. I know. But what I can say is that season has shown me that life happens. And I think that's the only thing I can take from that.
Life keeps laughing.
And everyone, I don't know if anyone knows, but I keep saying this term that life just keeps life in me. And my point in that is that, something me and Charles and I noticed last year, that there was just this dark contrast of pleasure, pain, sorrow, happiness and sorrow. These
literally 5 minutes before we're buying.
I can't describe it. And that just showed me how much that's the reality of life.
Grief and joy
can coexist. And it's so I think what I've done since then, and that's helped me more navigate how even how I converse with the kids, how it is based on that life. Things are going to happen that are out of your control, but I'm doing my best to ensure that. And it forces certain conversations. I remember as a result of that, having to sit really talk to Andy, and I'm like, okay, God forbid I go, but how are you going to meet the needs of these babies? Do you get what I mean? And it's an uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's uncomfortable conversation. It's uncomfortable. So. Yeah, but look how this whole self-harm has spiraled. Yeah. I get what I'm trying to say to you.
Guys, before we did this, I was just like, that's what I'm going to say to them.
Look how it spirals. It opens. And it's even in that, you could call that a form of harm, even towards your children, if you're not prepared.
If you're telling your mommy's never going to...
Right. There's layers. And that's your own fear of death. And also, we can assume that children can't handle it. Listen, they are the toughest beings on this earth. They are so resilient, but they can handle whatever you're there to help catch their fall on. And that's my personal opinion. Do you get what I mean? And if you're there continually catching their fall, God forbid anything let you go, you've laid a foundation of strength. I'm not saying that life is going to be a bed of roses for them. Do you get what I mean? Because it isn't a bed of roses for us. Do you understand what I'm saying? But what we do keep doing is pushing through. But boy,
we I was gonna obviously talk about a thing that you pointed out, which for me was the overspending.
Come on now, you might have to say that for 5 minutes. Come on. Come on now, I think every woman can relate.
Okay.
Every woman can relate.
Some of us don't have the funds to
But you've overspent at some point in your life. You can relate, Sean.
And it is an indulgence.
Or spend knowing you don't have. I can link it to more. I remember there was a season of my life of just spending.
That is meant to be my.
Sorry, but I was going to say spending. No. What I'm saying is, I remember like just wanting it. I know I can't afford it. Charlie's gone on a different angle of saying that some of us can't afford it. But it's not always about having the means. It's self-harm.
So
it's actually major self-harm when you don't have the means, but you still want it so bad. And I remember like I would buy something and I'd go home, and I remember the day that I remember going home and I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, Annie, you can't afford this. And I went right back to the shop and bought it back. And I remember like still feeling rubbish with myself because I gave in and I bought it. But I was like, no, be proud. You went and bought it back. I'm just giving you the example. And like that was like the season of my life that I took such stock over the spending, because it's this thing of wanting what I can't have. That for me, that's how I know from
I guess that's your.
That was me. Yeah.
Your personal.
Yeah.
My personal thing of the whole overspending is there being some kind of void, some kind of gap. Yeah. And it's almost like having it's clothes. Let's just call it spade.
Let's see that.
The thing is, right, let me just say, before I could just like, I work, I deserve, that was my justification,
Outfits always has a justification.
It makes me feel better just to justify it. But no, seriously, on a serious note, the root is because there's some form of void.
And what do you think that is then?
I do not know.
She's like, to anyone who does not know, this girl is a collector. No, she's a collector. I don't think you understand. Like, collects clothes. Like, we could literally open a shop. I remember when Alfie said I'm doing a clear out, and I knew that I had a whole new summer wardrobe from that clear out. Like, that's not possible. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'll be so when you have to come round to Children's and I could be like, I'm doing a clear out, so like, I don't know, my gosh, I came on the right day, like, and I was just like, I just want this one, because she saw it, she just had to have, she's bought it, but it's like,
what is that? But all I can put it down to, there's like some kind of void, there's some kind of emptiness that I feel it by just having more, like some people it could be alcohol, some people it could be, but for me it was just like, and then the irony thing is that, even at the age I'm at now, no words of a lie, I can go to my parents' house.
Yeah, you've got a whole wardrobe.
No, that's not even the point I'm making. My mum can say to me, is that new?
Wow.
And Ant's going,
but everything you was around
it's new, but I say, how do I define if it's new or not?
If
it's been in the wardrobe more than 3 months and I haven't worn it, it's not new.
Because she knows what she's bought since that time.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not new because I've had it in the wardrobe for 3. Yeah, but that's again justification. But even at the age I'm at now, my mum, and we laugh about it, and I say, Mum, you know what? Essentially, I get it from you because my parents, it's just them in their house now, and in every room they've got clothes in every. So I said maybe it's something
is that they're still shoppers, that because they're hoard.
That makes
a bit of both.
They've got a wardrobe for everything. They've got the summer wardrobe, they've got the church wardrobe, they've got the winter wardrobe. They've got everything. But on a serious note, it is a form of self-harm because if I was to say, like, in terms of the financial side,
what you spend on clothing.
What I have spent
on clothing.
Yeah. And like, I'll say it out. Had a meltdown the other day. Some things were occurring in my relationship, and I had purposed that I wasn't going to buy. So this is a conversation I'm having for myself. Anthea, you do not need, especially through the pandemic.
Right, you're going nowhere.
No, I was really good. I was like, I don't need anything. Do you know what I mean? Don't need anything. And once the pandemic was kind of easing, I was like, you know what? You've gone so long without buying. This actually feels really good. Yeah, it feels so good. And anyway, months have gone by. I haven't bought anything. Remember talking to Nats about the whole spending situation, and she introduced me to this flip theory about 30 days. So if you see something you like, right, you wait 30 days, and if you're still thinking about it at the end of the 30 days, then get it.
And a lot of times,
so I was like, that is amazing. Like, if I can implement that, that I'll be. Yeah, and I tried. And it didn't work. And the reason why is because, like I was about to say, I was going through something in my relationship, and it was just tough. It was tough, and I needed something. I needed to bridge the gap. I needed to fill the void of I just wasn't happy. And yeah, I just spent.
So you went from nothing to
this
massive amount of money that you just
spent a huge amount of money. And I remember being in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet. I wasn't using the toilet. I was sitting on the toilet. That's too much information. But I was in the bathroom sitting on the toilet, and I started to cry. And I remember my partner come in and was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I think I've got a problem." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I have just spent a stupid amount of money, on things I don't even need. And I don't even feel any better."
Did it even make you feel better?
It doesn't. I think what it is it's so strange. But so when the package comes through the door and I'm unboxing, it's like I get this euphoric experience. That's the word. Like when I look in the mirror and just
we would enjoy it.
I think mine's just it's ridiculous because realistically, where am I going? I do the school run. I go shopping. I'm not in my prime. I used to socialise and all the rest. Where am I going? Do you know what I mean? And I sat there and cried because I was like, no, this is actually serious. And he was like understanding, and it's almost like in that moment I needed him to just say, well, stop. But he's not that guy. He's almost like he's an enabler in that. He's like, you can have what you want. And I'm like, no, I actually need. I need some discipline. But I sat and I was like, Anthea, what is this? Like the more you get, the more you want, and you don't need it. So for me, the overspending thing, it has been a real big deal. But again, it's like when you speak it out, you're actually you're making yourself accountable. I'm facing it. I'm saying, you know what, you've just
does that mean that you're not buying anything for like the next month or so?
Should we be your accountability?
Well, we tried. We did try, and like Nats was taking every now and again to buy. But then
I remember during lockdown she didn't shop, but she became best friends with Amazon. Like we all did.
So she was trying to use the house.
Right. She just found something new to spend on. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like she likes shopping. She likes it. I think.
But it's the financial. It's the financial implications though. That's like. It is. So
open, honest, free, but
you know what? If, anything else you want to say?
I think it just shows that we're all a work in progress. But look at us, guys, 3 women, and we all self-harm.
Yeah, I just want to. If we're going to wrap up, I just want to read something. This quote about self-sabotage. So it says, "Be mindful of finding holes in joyful moments, experiences. Your self-sabotage ways is stealing your joy. You deserve to experience the wholeness of good moments and finally give yourself a break from your negative self-talk." So on that note,
dun, dun, dun.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter 3mums, except for Instagram, which is 3_mums. And make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube.
I have so many questions.